The mourning doves are very skittish when they are eating the bird feed that's just out the window from where I'm sitting right now, and practicing my guitar, getting the day started on this Valentine's Day, which for about a decade I used it as my day to recognize and refuse to let life move on in recognition of my brother's death, which was on Valentine's Day in 2005. He took his own life. And for years, I was of the mind that Valentine's Day would never be about love or joy or recognizing those who were alive. It would always be about recognizing the suffering and the pain that my brother was going through on the day that he took his life. And so about 7 or so years after he died, I kind of figured it all out. And so around 2012, I went to Los Angeles and I did a series of films, these short films they're not really out there. There's some that are on the internet here and there on my other website, on my other YouTube page. And I realized that the stuff that happens in my life, the painful things, the interruptions or the tragedies or the people who come into my life and maybe hurt me and create chaos and disorder. There's my little boy. Hi. Are actually not to be looked at with anger or dismay, but on the contrary, these things that happen in our lives are part of what we open to and accept and actually manifest by our own decisions and actions and energies that we put out into the world. And so at that time in 2012, I came to the place where I thought that for the most part, my brother's suicide was something to be recognized as an important milepost in my life for change and for seeing the world as it really was. And I love him so deeply. And he was my soulmate. He was my best friend. He was my older brother by about 6 years. And in many respects, I look at it as probably the most important, singular, most important experience of my life, having lost him. Would I take him back in a heartbeat? Absolutely, I would. But it was probably the single most important thing that happened in my life in terms of me seeing the world in a different way. Now, that doesn't discount how important it was to see my 2 children born and also to be divorced. That was a shock to me. But that was the opposite side again, and those embracing those things. And then for those who follow my travails and passages on Mount Everest, the 1999 expedition was an expedition that, well, as we all know, it made world news. And the relationship detritus and chaos that resulted from that expedition after the photographs of George Mallory were released to the world were so overwhelming to me that it completely rearranged my idea of what being kind and being generous and trustworthy or trusting of other people meant. And I, at that time, was so shocked that people could be so unkind to me because I was a nice guy and so kind to them, and people were actually trying to hurt me and cause me pain. And that's not an understatement. There were people who really wanted to hurt me, and I was angry and upset and confused. And then but then again, after my brother's suicide, it rearranged my perception of the world. And so I reach out to it with nothing but great gratitude. And I look at my brother and what he did that day on February 14th of 2005 as a gift, And so why am I going on about this right now? For all of those of you out there who have actually stayed with this video for 5 minutes and 24 seconds so far, if you're feeling like you got the raw deal or things aren't going the way that you want, and believe me, there's a lot of shit going on in my life right now that I will probably never tell the world about. That is just probably tragic, I would say, would probably be the best way to say it, but I just can't or won't share it with the world just because of the sensitivity to out of respect for the other people involved. And that these bumps and these tragedies and these chaoses that happen in our lives are opportunities, and they're portals for us to step through and look at the world in a way of opportunity, and that everything that happens in this world is something that we have manifest through our own actions and decisions, and to never resent or regret or to look at the world and our past as something that curses us. On the contrary, we manifest everything that has happened in our lives. Now, there's, of course, human life is hard enough, don't we know, but then, human beings get into the mix, and God knows we make it that much more difficult through our own ignorant and foolish decisions, or those we sleep with, or those we have relationships with, or those things that we embrace. And then hopefully through all that we learn and become stronger and more capable and worthy, and our souls and our spirit and our light becomes brighter. And when that last day of our lives do come in this incarnation, our hope is, we endeavor to leave this planet, leave this realm in this body in a more elevated state than when we first were born. And so on this Valentine's Day, remembering the loss and the suicide of my brother, and the love and what it represents to many and the gifts that people give each other, I love you, and I thank you for staying with me all this time, and I wish for you clarity and grace, and the understanding that all the absolute crap that has happened in your lives has been some opportunity for you to learn and elevate and grow and find out who you really are in this body, and that soul that is inside of you and radiates from you. So with peace and love and light, I'm wishing you a wonderful, wonderful day. And I will go back to practicing, and then a lot of work today, which I have much gratitude for. Peace out, my friends.